Something that was a bit of a puzzle to me when first starting out on 3D was how are we supposed to take an object like this cube with its simple four-sided faces and have a cylinder protruding from it. So if we go Shift A and mesh cylinder and press G and Z and raise it up, I'll actually delete those top and bottom faces. Press T to set the whole thing as smooth in object mode and then tab back in. Control tab to switch to edge select mode, alt right click this bottom edge. And then I'm going to go G and Z just to move it up and down, and then hold Control and gesture to that vertex there, since we've got our vertex snapping on set to closest. Then I'm just going to alt right click this face loop, S, and then Shift Z, scale that in. Since we've got our height information right now, I don't want to move it on the Z axis. So to about there. So clearly this has a lot of faces. We've got these 32 faces to this, these 32 sides to this, I should say. And this has got 4. So really, how are we meant to mesh this together? How do we gel this cylinder into this cube? Well, the first realization is that a lot of 3D is all smoke and mirrors. So we can actually just leave it there. There's nothing stopping us from just having this detached and just floating on top. In fact, we could actually go one step further, Control R to add in a little edge loop here, and then scale out the bottom with S. Let's add another supporting loop though, since the shading does go a little bit crazy there. And then zooming out a little bit, depending on where you're going to see this, that's absolutely fine. If you get really close in on the detail, maybe that could be improved. But really, we don't want to necessarily just do little cheats like that. We want to learn how to model our way out of a corner, so to speak, or 4 corners in this case. So of course, the first thing I did there wrong was not even consider how many sides that I wanted in the cylinder. Here we've got 32, but we can get away with a lot less. So let's press X and delete, and let's go as low as we can. So let's go Shift A and add in fact, let's just take this cube that we've already got, Shift D to duplicate, G and Z to raise it up, S to scale that down, tab in to edit mode. I'm going to select that top and bottom face, Shift select them, X to delete them. I'm going to smooth that out as well. Z to check that shading in solid shading view. And then of course, as you can see from this angle, it actually looks fairly smooth with those normals going around. There is a little bit of a dark, weird issue as it goes right into the edges there. But if we were intending to subdivide our model anyway, set that up to 2 say, you can see it's a pretty close approximation of a cylinder anyway. It's not quite perfect. So this cylinder subdivided has 16 sides. So let's go mesh and then circle and give that 16 sides. And then let's scale that down just over the top. You can see it's almost right. This subdivided one almost creates a perfect cylindrical shape, but it's not quite as perfect as the one I just created there. So I'm going to delete that temporary circle that we made just to illustrate that. And let's move on. So here we have just the pretty much simplest shape we could have, apart from maybe if it was 3 sides. But we've certainly got something now which is going to be very easy to mesh into this cube. So with this cube selected, I'm going to Shift select this one and go Control J to join them up. But clearly now we have a different issue. So I'm going to hit our smooth shading. Let's come over to the data tab, turn on our auto smooth and turn that all the way up. Tab into edit mode, Z to toggle the wireframe there, A to deselect everything. I'm going to control and left click around this whole cube here. And what I want to do is add supporting loops to everything. A quick way to do that, since this cube is so simple, is just to go Control B to bevel, middle scroll the mouse wheel up 1 to create 2 segments, and so that it doesn't bend and curve and average around the position of the geometry created within the width of the bevel, I'm going to press P to alter the profile and set it all the way up to 1. Left click and then Z to toggle the wireframe again. So now coming back over to our modifiers tab, the modifier is still on. We've got our support loops and it's now looking a bit more like a cube again. And also we've still got this central 4-sided face, which is going to mesh in really easily with this. So I'm actually going to delete that, and you can already see that's turning itself into a circle as well. So Control Tab to Alt right select that bottom edge loop, Shift Alt right click that edge loop there, and then I'm going to just join them with Control E bridge edge loops. Then Alt right select this one, G and Z, and then hold Control just to snap it down. So there we go, we've meshed in a cylindrical thing protruding out of our flat cube shape there. If we wanted to not have it so rounded out, we can go Control R, add a support loop down here to maintain the original shape, and then another one on the outside just to maintain that shape going in. Let's now tab back into object mode just to be able to see what we've got. All right, so with this, I'm going to press G, middle click and gesture along the X-axis there just to lock it in, and then left click and just drop it out of the way. And let's add another cube in. I'm going to set this as smooth shading, come over here, set the auto smooth all the way up, tab into edit mode, go Control B, middle scroll for our extra segment, P to set the profile all as 1, and now we're ready to go again. So what if we want some more detail than just necessarily 4 sides? We can actually get away with many multiples of this. So for example, if we had a loop going across here, now we can go and add in a cylinder which has 6 sides. Let's take the radius down a touch, something like 0.7, and then I'm going to remember to just set that as nothing this time. G and then Z to lift that up. In fact, let's snap it down to the surface. G, Z, hold Control and just gesture over there, and then Control Tab to switch to face select mode. I'm just going to delete these 2 faces so that we can see clearly what's going on. So it's probably already obvious. We could just select these 2, press F, select this one, and then press F, F, and then keep going around, F, F, F. And then there you go. We've joined that up pretty easily. Again, I'm going to press smooth in object mode there, and you'll see the normals now go a little bit on the crazy side. So I'm going to go Control R to add in an edge loop there, E to make it even. And the little red dot there that you may be able to just about make out is aligned with that inner cylindrical shape. So that's good for us. Add another one on the top, Control R, and that's fine. And then there we go. That's without any smoothing whatsoever. So let's come over to our subdivision surface modifier, add that into the picture. And now we have this kind of thing. Let's take a look at this and our other cylinder side by side, G and a middle click gesture over there. And you can see it's fairly equivalent. Obviously we've made it slightly larger on this one. I'm going to borrow from this now. I'm going to go Shift D, middle click gesture along the X-axis, left to drop it there, Alt G to put it back to the center of the world, tab into edit mode, Alt right select this, Control plus to grow our selection so that we've got most of the top surface aside from the supporting lines for the cube there. Just delete those faces. So again, we could go Control R here and add in an extra loop which goes around. So now we've got the 8 sides, 8 edges. So simply enough, Shift A to add in another cylinder. Let's take that to 8 sides, G and then Z, lift that up. I'm going to press G and Z and snap it down. I'll go and select this edge loop and this edge loop. Control E to bridge those edge loops. Control R to add in the extra supporting loops. Control R there, E to make it even, F to flip it in. Since this is new geometry, it's not been set to smooth yet, so I'm going to set that to smooth there. And again, that was pretty easy stuff. So let's move that off to the side. Let's take a look at a slightly different sort of relationship. Again, I'll take this, duplicate it with Shift D. Drop it anywhere really, and Alt G to snap it to the center of the world for simplicity there. I'm going to Alt right select that, grow the selection, and then just X to delete all that stuff. And just for simplicity, since we have our 8 sides here, I'm going to make another cylinder with 8 sides, G and Z to take it up. I'm going to scale it down a little bit with S, and then what I'll do is I'll Alt right select this one and go Control F and then grid fill that. And now instead of this cylinder coming straight down, perpendicular, let's Control L to select all the linked geometry to that so we can move it around. Let's take a look from the front orthographic view, R to rotate it, smooth that down like that. I'm going to go Control F and actually shade this smooth. And then if we take our normals and turn on our gizmo, we can see along the Y-axis there, so S, Y and Y, and we'll be able to stretch it out this way. Press G to move it down. What if our cylinder was needing to protrude out a little bit more like this? All right, so let's take a little look around. If we can, it'd be wise to try and meet up the vertices that we have. So G and then X, just to slide that along so that they're pretty much matching up here. And we've already got it matching up here, or slightly anyway. So I'm gonna move back over to global axis. Press G and Y to move it back into, and then hold Control there to snap that in. Okay, with that, I'm going to press spacebar and type in intersect. And let's just use mesh intersect boolean. And then we've got some options here whether we could make it a difference instead or a union. I should probably make it a union thinking about it. Let's turn off our subsurface modifier so we can see exactly what's happening here. All right, cool. Let's take our geometry, these 4 faces here, and we'll rebuild these. X to delete. And now that we have everything in the right position, we can just go about selecting faces. F to fill that face, shift select these faces, F to fill that. Let's go around, shift select this, same with these guys, and then basically following it all the way around, there to there. Now with these sorts of Boolean operations, sometimes you can get a little bit of an issue where it's not quite lined up properly, like this issue here. What I want to do is always preserve the real shape of the cylinder. So I'm going to, instead of moving this one to the position of that one, I'm going to always move this one to the position of the cylinder. So double G to slide it in, and thanks to our merge setting, it merges it up for us. It looks like there's an issue here as well. So again, this one on the left is the proper cylinder. So double tap G, slide that to the left. Let's go around just checking other options. This one here, double tap to the right, and then same here, double tap to the right on that instance. Let's take a look at here. So if in doubt, highlight all of it, W, and then remove doubles, and we removed 0. So we're good to go. So with that, let's go Control R, add in an edge loop, and press E to make it even. And the little red dot over here is indicating it's making it even towards the bottom, which is what we want. Control R to do that again. E to make it even. It's going to the outside though, so let's go F to flip that, and then we'll take that in, and there we go. And this is all without a subdivision surface modifier at the moment, so we'll turn that on so we can actually see it, and that smooths things up really nicely.